CRN.com. Welcome back. You're listening to Cindy Laverty's show on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Thanks for joining me today. If you're just tuning in, my guest is Joyce O'Brien, and we're talking about her book, Choose to Live, and her remarkable story. Joyce, I'm sorry I had to cut you off in the middle of your story about Kevin, but
okay.
So the ambulance comes.
So the ambulance comes, and I kind of got that grim look from them. I don't even remember us making it to the hospital, but after several hours of Kevin being in the emergency room and not being allowed in, they came out to tell me that he had actually had a brain hemorrhage.
At 31, right?
He was 31.
31.
Yeah. And ultimately, as we went through the rest of that day, we did not know if he would make it through the night. They had put him in intensive care, if he would need brain surgery, if he would ever walk again. He was paralyzed. And so that was how our story began when we were in our early 30s. Then
and Kevin recovered from that.
Kevin recovered. He did have brain surgery. He made it through the night. He did have brain surgery. He had 3 strokes in addition to the brain hemorrhage. So he had extensive damage from that, and he has recovered about 90% of the movement in his leg and full movement in his arm, and there's still some residual effects, but yes, so he did recover, thank God.
Okay. Then you get pregnant.
Well, yes, then I was pregnant, and after we were just ecstatic about that, and the doctors thought that my baby had spina bifida, and they wanted us to abort.
And you said no.
Yes, as it turned out.
Good girl.
Yeah, we just ultimately said, well, this is what we're meant to do. This is what our life is meant to be. Then that's what it's going to be. And so, thank God we didn't, because she did not have spina bifida. As it turned out, I had cancer. I just didn't know it. And so when she was just 8 months old, that was when I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. And yes, and with this
so Kevin is still recovering. You have this baby, and now you've been diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and you have to go in and have a mastectomy.
Yes. I had a mastectomy, and then I had pretty horrific chemotherapy, as well as the surgery itself that I had was about 10 hours long. And
you were in excruciating pain.
Yes. It was pretty unbearable. There were moments where I was just praying literally second by second for the strength to be able to get through that next second, because I just could not bear the pain any longer. And there were those thoughts of, is there an easier way? You know, at that point, it was just so horrible. I just remember looking at the clock and praying and praying.
Yeah, they should move those clocks in the hospital room, I think. They're just all you can see, you know? It's like, there you are. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's 5 minutes has gone by. Okay, I want to sort of get through this so we can get to the real beauty of this story. So then after that, you're recovering, and then Kevin is diagnosed with malignant melanoma.
And in between that, I had lost my job, my life insurance, my disability insurance, my health insurance after 14 years with a very successful career on Wall Street. So then, yes, a year after my diagnosis, Kevin is diagnosed with stage 3B malignant melanoma, and he was given about a 20 to 30% chance of survival. And that was, he was 34.
34. Okay, yeah. So this is happening within a 3-year period of time? Yes.
The entire thing spanned 5 years, and it was every year right around the same time for 5 years. And I knew that there was something wrong, and I kept saying that there was something wrong, and my doctors kept telling me that everything was fine. And then finally, one day, it was our anniversary. It was our 10-year anniversary, and we were walking along the beach, and Kevin stopped and just said, "You have to get it checked out." And I did.
Because you had found a lump again.
Yes, I had found another lump that just kept, I felt as it was much harder and much bigger.
Uh-huh.
And they had said it was nothing because of the location of it. And as it turned out, it was, in fact, cancer that had returned, and it had metastasized, and it was stage 4. And they had said that there was nothing that they could do to save me. So I was 35 at that point in time. So it started when Kevin was 31, I was 30, and that was the pivotal moment.
So let's just recap this. So Kevin has a massive stroke at 3 strokes and a brain hemorrhage at 31. Then you're told your baby's going to have spina bifida. Then you're diagnosed with breast cancer. You have a mastectomy. Then Kevin gets malignant melanoma. And then you're re-diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And you both basically have a death sentence in your early 30s.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's what I said in the beginning. Okay. What I want to know is, because she's here, obviously, none of this happened. none of the voices of doom actually came true. So what kept you going through this? Because, first of all, your 30s is just kind of a remarkable time to have this happen. What kept you going? I mean, did you find courage that you had never had before?
Oh, without a doubt. I had always been a very goal-oriented person. It was kind of the way I was brought up. It was, what's your next goal? Work hard, work hard, work hard. So I was not afraid of hard work.
Right.
I believe that at the final diagnosis, when they said, we're sorry, there's nothing that we can do to save you, I said, that's just not good enough. I don't buy it. I just don't believe that there's nothing that can be done to save me. And I think that there was just this belief, in part it was, let me just get through it and get back to my life. Let me just get through this and get back to my life.
Right.
Let me get through the next thing and get back to my life. And then at a certain point in time, and that was really when I was diagnosed with stage 4, it was no longer let me just get through this to get back to my life. It's let me live. Let me figure out what I need to do to live or be guided to discover what it is that I need to do to live.
Well, there's a big spiritual component here for you, and I want to get to that a little bit later on. But so how did Kevin keep going through this? Because, men and women deal with these things very differently. And how did he keep going? How did the two of you prop each other up? This is what I think is so remarkable about this story.
It's very interesting because it is a very different approach. Kevin was fantastic at doing, and whatever I needed, he was there to do.
Yes.
And I think that that's very common with men, that they're going to just, let me just do whatever I need to do. And it's not necessarily from an emotional perspective, support perspective, because that was there that was part of it. But the main thing was whatever I needed, he was there. So, and it was very similar, whatever he needed, I was there for. And in my case, I think I was much more of an emotional support for him.
Well, that would stand to reason. The man would go into the fixer mode, and the woman would go into the support mode, the emotional mode. Right.
Yes. And it was a very interesting dynamic because we both got to play the part of caregiver and patient.
Right.
And he had a very different relationship to that. He had a lot of anger about it. It was very challenging for him. As you can imagine, being a man, he was completely incapacitated.
Right.
He could not do a single thing for himself. He had to be completely cared for, carried. It was awful for him to have to go through that. And
so you have to do this delicate dance.
Yes.
All right, I got to take a quick break. Stay with us. You're listening to Cindy Laverty's show. I'll be right back. Hi.